Seared scallops are a surprisingly simple way to impress a dinner date. They've got that elegant restaurant feel, but as long as you're buying the right kind of scallops and cooking them well, they're super easy. In this video, I'll show you how to make seared scallops in an herb butter sauce in only 10 minutes. The first step for getting a good sear on your scallops is to buy the right kind of scallops. You want to ask for dry sea scallops at your fish counter. This means they haven't been treated in a sodium solution. Wet treated scallops might look a little wider and they might look a little plumper. I've got some wet treated scallops here. You can just see that the color is a little different and they are a little plumper. These are obviously a smaller scallop than our dry treated scallops. But once these start to cook, all of that liquid is going to leach out and it's just impossible to get a good brown on these guys. So get the dry treated scallops. Now the prep for the scallops is really simple. All I'm going to do is pull off this little tab here on the side of the scallop. This is called the abductor muscle and it can be tough. So I'm just going to pull these off all my scallops. And some fish stores do this for you. So if you don't see them, then it's probably already been done. The next thing I'm going to do is just pat the scallops dry on both sides. Again, this will help to give them a really good sear. Now another key for getting a good sear on your scallops is to not overcrowd the pan. If you put the scallops too close to one another, they're going to start to steam in each other's moisture and they'll never get that good brown sear. So you want to choose a nice big pan, and nonstick is a good option here because scallops tend to stick. So I'm just going to place this over medium-high heat and I'm going to give this about a minute to warm up. Okay, now I'm going to add my oil. I'm just using a neutral vegetable oil. And you want to just swirl it around the pan and you want this to get nice and hot. Now one way to test to see if your oil is hot enough is just sprinkling a little bit of water. That's ready to go. So now I'm going to add my scallops and I'm going to give them plenty of room. Now the last tip is to let them do their thing. At this point, you don't want to touch them, just leave them alone and let them brown. Now it's been about 2.5 minutes. Oh, perfect. You see that gorgeous golden brown color? That's exactly what you're looking for. I'm just going to give these a flip. And again, I'll do the same thing on this side. I'm not going to move them. I'm going to let them just develop that nice crust. And another tip for cooking scallops is not to overcook them. You want that beautiful golden crust, but you also want the middle to stay tender and sweet. So these guys only need 2 to 3 minutes per side. Beautiful. Okay, these are golden brown on the other side. At this point, I'm going to transfer them to a plate because I don't want them to overcook. Now I'm going to make the herb butter sauce right here in the same pan. So to start, I'm just going to do about a ½ tablespoon of butter. Just going to let this melt. And I have 1 shallot that I've minced. I'm going to add this right to the hot butter. And cook this just until the shallot is softened. Now you'll notice I'm using this funky looking whisk here. This is a silicone tipped whisk. This is what you want to use in a nonstick pan. A metal whisk could scratch up that surface. Okay, so the shallots are soft. Now some dry white wine. I've got a 1/4 cup of dry white wine. Add that in and step back. It'll boil, but that's good. We're picking up all of those dark bits on the bottom of the pan. That's really going to enrich our sauce, give it lots of flavor. So I'm just going to reduce this by half. It'll only take a minute or two. Okay, so the wine is reduced. Next, the herbs. I have some chives and some parsley here, but you could use chervil, you could use tarragon, really whatever you like. Just whisk this in, and some lemon zest. That's going to brighten up the flavor, and it really complements well with the scallops. Now I'm going to turn the heat down to low and start adding the rest of my butter. I've got 2½ tablespoons, and I'm going to add it just bit by bit. And you want to whisk it in and let it melt in slowly. That way your sauce doesn't break. Okay, the last of my butter is just about melted. And that's all there is to the sauce. The sauce is done. So the final thing I'm going to do is just put my scallops back into the pan to coat them a little bit in the sauce, and this will reheat them just so they stay nice and warm. And if there are any juices like this on your plate, you do want to add those back to the pan too. That's going to add a lot of flavor. Give it a little swirl. And now it's time to plate. 3 to 4 scallops per person, depending on their size. Scallops go on the plate. And then a little bit of that butter sauce right over top. And then I'm going to garnish with a few more of those fresh herbs just for a little color and a little flavor. And then finally, a wedge of lemon. And there you have it, a restaurant-worthy dish of seared scallops with an herb butter sauce in only 10 minutes. You'll see that the scallops have a beautiful brown crust, but they're going to still be tender and sweet on the inside.